Aid had always known the estate his grandfather left him was special, a sprawling property on the outskirts of the city. It was once a prestigious home to people who valued community and took pride in their surroundings. His grandfather had invested his life savings into it, hoping it would one day serve as Aid's legacy. But when Aid inherited it, he hadn't expected the sight that awaited him. When he first visited the property, he was struck by how rundown it had become. Paint was peeling off the walls, wooden fences leaned dangerously to one side, and the landscaped gardens were now an unruly mess of weeds. Some tenants had left old furniture and broken appliances outside their units, further adding to the neglected appearance. The grand fountain that once stood proudly in the center of the estate was dry. Its marble cracked and stained, the streetlights barely flickered, casting an eerie, fading light over the pathways. Determined to understand how things had gone so wrong, Aid began knocking on doors. Each tenant had a story: a single mother, a struggling young artist, an elderly man who had been there since the estate was first built. Many of them seemed embarrassed by the state of their units, but said they simply couldn't afford the upkeep. The younger tenants seemed indifferent, some even shrugging when he asked them about the property's condition. The tenant visits only added to Aid's growing frustration. Those blamed the mess on past tenants, while others claimed the estate's manager never provided the necessary repairs. Despite repeated complaints, Aid sensed there was more to the story. But every conversation felt like another dead end. However, he refused to give up. He decided to go through the estate's financial records, hoping he could find something that would explain the decline. In the dusty old office of the estate, he found his grandfather's meticulously kept records. The elderly man had kept a detailed journal filled with notes about each tenant, including when repairs had been made and conversations he had shared with them. But after his grandfather's passing, the records grew sparse, and it became clear that the estate's manager, Mr. Oseni, hadn't kept up the same level of care. With a sense of unease, Aid continued his search. Then he found something that changed everything: a string of receipts and contracts that hinted at a shocking truth. It seemed Mr. Oseni had been secretly offering maintenance discounts to tenants who agreed to let their units fall into disrepair. In exchange, they would pay a reduced rent, and Mr. Oseni promised them they wouldn't be held responsible. The plan, it seemed, was to let the estate's value fall so dramatically that it could be sold off at a fraction of its worth. He realized that some tenants, facing financial difficulties, had gone along with the arrangement, even though it meant living in unpleasant conditions. The revelation left Aid reeling. Mr. Oseni, a man his grandfather had trusted, had been quietly sabotaging the estate. Feeling both betrayed and saddened, Aid knew he had to act fast to save the property. The first step was obvious. He fired Mr. Oseni on the spot and assured the tenants that things were about to change. He decided to take a personal approach, organizing a community meeting where he presented his findings to the tenants. At first, there was silence. Then, slowly, hands went up as tenants began voicing their grievances. Stories of ignored requests for repairs, promises made by Mr. Oseni that had never been kept. It turned into an emotional meeting, with many admitting they had felt helpless for years. One tenant, Teo, an outspoken former teacher, suggested they form a community task force. She proposed that everyone contribute to restoring the estate, with Aid's help in providing necessary materials. Inspired by her leadership, others chimed in, offering to pitch in by helping with painting, landscaping, and small repairs. It was a far-fetched plan, but Aid saw it as a last chance to turn things around. Over the next few months, a slow but inspiring transformation took place. Aid used his savings to repair major damage and provided materials for tenants to handle smaller tasks. Community members who had never spoken to each other before now worked side by side, repainting walls, clearing out old furniture, and planting new flowers. A local carpenter volunteered to repair the benches and fences, and the elderly Mr. Alay, a former mechanic, offered to restore the estate's fountain to its former glory. The neighborhood began to take notice. The once forgotten estate, overgrown and neglected, now had a new spark of life. People were talking about the young landlord who was reviving his grandfather's legacy. Social media posts started circulating, and soon, Aid's efforts attracted attention far beyond the neighborhood. One day, a journalist from a popular local news site reached out to him, curious to learn about his efforts. Aid hesitated, unsure of how the community would react to the attention, but eventually agreed. In an interview, he shared the story of his grandfather's dream, the betrayal of trust by the estate manager, and the tenants' incredible spirit in helping to restore the property. The story went viral, and people from across the city reached out, offering donations, materials, and even their own time to help with the renovations. The estate became a kind of community project, a testament to what could happen when people united to restore something meaningful. It was no longer just about fixing broken walls and fences, it was about reclaiming pride, dignity, and trust. Months later, the estate was transformed. The fountain had been restored and gurgled happily once again. The walls gleamed with fresh paint, and the gardens flourished, filled with vibrant flowers and carefully tended lawns. The tenants felt a sense of pride in their homes that hadn't existed before, and many of them became friends through the experience. The tenants and aide held a celebration to mark the completion of the project, and aide gave a heartfelt speech about how he had not just restored his grandfather's legacy, but built something even more meaningful. For aide, the experience was more than a business victory. It was a lesson in resilience, trust, and community. He continued to manage the estate personally, knowing that it was as much the tenant's home as it was his inheritance. His grandfather's dream of a proud, vibrant estate lived on, not just in the walls and gardens, but in the hearts of everyone who had come together to bring it back to life. Property and facility management perspective. Regular inspections and reporting. A could implement regular inspections of each unit to ensure tenants are maintaining their spaces according to set standards. Annual or biannual inspections help address small issues before they become major problems. Tenant education and engagement. Providing clear guidelines on property maintenance responsibilities and creating channels like community meetings or suggestion boxes encourages tenants to participate in the upkeep. Educating tenants on why their role is essential in property value can instill a sense of pride and accountability. On-site property manager. Appointing a trustworthy, dedicated on-site manager can ensure maintenance is handled promptly. Managers should be accountable for property conditions and incentivized to maintain high standards. Transparent record keeping. Maintain detailed records of maintenance requests, repairs, and tenant communications who avoid misunderstandings or abuses of power. This builds trust and keeps the management team accountable. Tenant-driven initiatives. Organizing community activities like cleanup days or small improvement projects can foster camaraderie and pride. Small incentives like rent discounts or community events could motivate tenants to keep the property in good condition. Moral perspective. Building a trust-based community. Aide's journey shows the importance of cultivating a strong, trust-based relationship between property owners and tenants. Owners should be transparent about property challenges and honest about expectations, which can foster mutual respect and commitment. Responsible property management. Property managers hold a position of trust and should act responsibly, upholding the landlord's intentions and serving the tenant's best interests. Ethical leadership in property management ensures the estate remains a safe and respectful living space. Tenant empowerment. The tenant's eventual involvement in the estate's restoration show that people want to contribute positively when given a chance. Property owners can morally empower tenants by involving them in the property's long-term goals and improvements. Community and stewardship. Living in a community means taking care of shared resources, instilling a stewardship mentality in tenants. Teaching them that they have a role in keeping the property valuable builds a sense of ownership and encourages long-term care. Legal perspective. Clear lease agreements. Drafting thorough lease agreements that outline both tenant and landlord responsibilities regarding property upkeep can prevent future issues. This can include clauses related to regular maintenance, tenant responsibilities, and consequences for negligence. Legal oversight of property managers. Aide's experience with Mr. Oseni demonstrates the importance of proper oversight. Property owners should conduct background checks and ensure managers have clear performance expectations. Misconduct should be grounds for immediate investigation and possible legal action. Tenant rights and responsibilities. Education. Educating tenants on their rights and responsibilities can prevent misunderstandings. Tenants should understand the legal consequences of failing to maintain their units and the support available to them if management neglects repairs. Formal complaints and resolution channels. Implementing a formal system for tenants to report unresolved issues can protect against negligence or misconduct by management. Setting up an anonymous complaints process can provide tenants with a safe space to report issues. Lessons learned. Transparency is key. Open communication between property owners, managers, and tenants prevents misunderstandings and builds trust. Hidden agendas, like Mr. Oseni's, can have devastating effects on property and community morale. Property condition reflects management quality. The property's condition often mirrors the quality of its management. Committed Honest managers will ensure that repairs are addressed promptly, while unethical managers can lead properties into disrepair. Community engagement benefits. Everyone aids success in restoring the estate shows that when tenants feel they are part of a community, they become motivated to maintain it. Giving tenants a stake in their environment can lead to better property upkeep and mutual pride. Ethical standards protect everyone. Implementing ethical guidelines for management ensures accountability. Learned the importance of vetting and overseeing employees, ensuring they align with the property owner's goals and values. Proactive maintenance is essential. Waiting until a property is in visible disrepair can lead to costly restoration efforts. Regular maintenance, clear standards, and immediate responses to tenant requests can prevent deterioration and expensive fixes. Conclusion. Nade's journey demonstrates that effective property management is about more than just maintenance. It involves fostering trust, responsibility, and pride among everyone involved. A well-managed property is a reflection of not only its physical upkeep, but also the strength of its community and the integrity of its management. If you find this story enlightened, please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel for more content on property, facility and real estate management business tips. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. God bless you.